Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Box Office Dynasty, the best podcast hosted by yours truly, Josh.
And Jack.
And we are very excited for today's episode. We have a lot of fun, a lot of things that we are going to get to. We're going to draw another Bible study film for us to watch. You know, Jack, that first round didn't go so well for you with Lottolante and the Great Dictator.
It was a little rough.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this new one.
You know, I will definitely, or you should definitely be keeping your fingers crossed during that draw. We are going to go over some box office numbers. As always, we're going to review the new film Friendship that's in theaters right now, starring Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. Very exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cannes Film Festival that just wrapped up last week, as well as some other stuff going on in the industry. And then in the back half, we're going to review season 2 of The Last of Us with a very special guest. And I know we said that last time, and there was no very special guest, but this time there will be a very special guest.
We
Jack,
guarantee it.
cross your other fingers. So just have one set of fingers crossed
Both
for the Bible
crossed.
study and the other set of fingers crossed for the special guest to make it through. But very exciting episode ahead of us, and we're going to dive right into it. Before we get into the Bible study draw, two things real quick. One, as of today, the recording, May 31st, it is Clint Eastwood's 95th birthday. So shout out Clint Eastwood. Happy birthday to the GOAT.
Jesus.
Yeah,
He's still making
95.
movies, too.
And he just announced that he is in pre-production for another film. I thought Juror number 2 was going to be his swan song, so it's cool that he's still rocking it. 95. Happy birthday, Clint Eastwood. Wow. And the second thing, I didn't know about this until the night it happened, and I assume the same was for you, but did you see this John Mulaney fight night?
Yeah, I did see it. I knew it was happening. My girlfriend is really into that TV show, and I saw the clips. He fought 3 14-year-olds.
Yeah, like he literally gets into the ring and fights 3 teen boys. He's got like this late night talk show on Netflix. I'd heard of it. I've never watched it before this. All I see on my Twitter feed is John Mulaney will fight 3 teenagers on television tonight. I'm like, okay.
He was like accepting applications, and they sent the videos in, and the videos are really funny, like the ones that they picked for the kids.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that that's how they got decided.
Some of the kids are like, the ones that won, they show the video in the episodes, and they're like, we're going to kick your ass, John Mulaney. Like, I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm 14 years old. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then you see John Mulaney's reaction because that's the first time he's seeing it. It's really funny.
Yeah, I just thought what made it so funny was just the randomness of the whole thing. Like, you got Adam Sandler just at the side cheering on. You got Sean Penn, who looks like he had no idea what was going to happen and doesn't want to be there. He's like so confused. And then you had that group come out and do that song after the teenagers beat up John Mulaney, which I thought was just like, what is going on? I felt like I took acid or something.
He lasted less than like 3 minutes in the ring, right?
It was pretty disappointing that we didn't get another round. I thought we were hyping up this whole thing where John Mulaney was going to either kick the asses of teenage boys or get his ass kicked by 3 teenage boys. Either would be equally funny, I guess, to see. It lasted like barely 3 minutes. I was on Discord with a couple friends. We were like all watching it at the same time. No, like it literally was like, I was like, this is the biggest fight since Tyson versus Jake Paul. Like, this is like Mulaney versus the boys. Like,
did you like? Do you genuinely think that you could beat 3 14-year-olds?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was obvious that John Mulaney wasn't really trying because he wasn't going to actually sucker punch a bunch of teenage boys on live television.
That's the whole thing, is him being like, I could beat them, but they're wrestling. You can't wrestling. You just got to get the guy to the ground. You know, like if he was fighting them to the death, he'd kick all their asses.
Yeah, I feel like in fighting to the death, and I'm like giving it my all, I probably could. But in wrestling, they got the number advantage on me, and they're not like
there's nobody
5 years old. You know what I mean? Like they're big enough at 14 to be able to, like, you saw those 3, like if you look at those 3 kids that fought John Mulaney, and you strictly think within the rules of wrestling, like they'd probably beat me too because there's only so much you can do within the confines of the rules of the sport.
Yeah, with 350-pound 14-year-olds laying on top of you, like, what are you supposed to
Oh,
do?
I don't know if they were 150 pounds. I don't know if they were
One
all.
of them was like 6 feet tall, dude. One of them was
Yeah,
big
but
as
the
hell.
others were kind of like a couple of them were kind of scrawny too. But they had
Right,
the
right, but
number
still.
advantage. They had a team, and John Mulaney is just a little scrawny man,
Hmm.
who wrote the Lobster Diner sketch. Like this guy, this guy can only do so much, right? I mean, but if you're beating him,
Yeah.
and like you said, it also depends on the 14-year-old. Three you know maybe
Like when I was 14.
yeah, like prepubescent, kind of like me at 14, you at 14, like I could probably kick their asses. But like three, like kind of bigger 14-year-olds or something, no,
It's
they're gonna,
over.
it's over. Yeah, so I don't blame John Mulaney. I just wanted more. I wanted to see more.
Mhm.
So that was the John Mulaney fight night. It was a lot of fun. If you didn't see
Yeah,
it,
that was
I
funny.
I recommend going and checking it back. It was hilarious. But I think it's
It's on
time.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, but you could probably find clips on YouTube or fucking anywhere. I don't know. But the episodes are on Netflix. And with that, let's draw a Bible study film for us to watch. Oh, by the way, Jack, show the folks at home. Jack has his own film Bible
Oh
now.
yeah. I came
Same,
prepared
same
with my film
one.
Bible.
This
We're
podcast, this
twins.
podcast has truly turned into a book club. It
We should be sponsored
essentially,
by the New York Times.
yeah, that they'll definitely sponsor this podcast.
Yeah, they love this shit.
Um, you should. I just wanted to say, and I'll say this as I. Do you want me to draw the numbers, or do you want to draw them this time?
You go ahead. You do this
Okay,
one.
all right.
I think I did the last ones.
Actually, yeah, I think you did. So I'll do this one. But as I get those prepared, you should read some of the reviews. Not like right now on the podcast, but in general, in your free time, actually like check out the rest of the book, other than the list at the beginning, because.
Right.
Some of them are like they're not that long, like the reviews are really just like a page or two, hence the numbers being what they are, and because it's an index,
So
really.
before we pull this number, let me just explain it to anyone listening what this segment is. We call this Bible study. We have our film Bibles, and it's got over 1,000 films numbered inside of it, essential films listed by the New York Times that people need to watch. So what we do is we have the audience, the listeners, you guys, comment just a random number. Any number you think of between 20 and 1,200 or whatever the number is, and you comment a random number, and that number is equal to a movie that is deemed essential by the New York Times to watch. And we randomly pick that number, and then we watch it, and we end up reviewing it. So that's what we're doing right now. Josh, do you have the number picked out?
I'm gonna spin it. You ready?
I'm ready.
And the winner oh my god. The winner is 420.
Okay, yeah, we got a lot of 69s and a lot of 420s.
I don't know
Oh
if
my
you
God.
can see. There it is. Yeah. 420.
420.
So,
Well, do you want to announce what that is?
yeah, actually, it's funny. So Jack and I were in agreement that we wouldn't know which film is corresponded to, the numbers, and we would find out live as we record this episode. Except this is the one number of all the numbers in the running this time that we already know.
Yeah.
And that film that we're going to watch, or at least I don't know if you've seen it, I don't remember, but in my case, rewatch, is Jordan Peele's Get Out.
I've seen most of it. I've never actually finished the movie, so I am excited for it.
This
I was disappointed that this is the only one I knew what the number was.
I know. That's why I saw it. I was like, oh, I like the wheel turning to it. And I'm like, oh, no way, no way.
That's all right.
But
This is a good
I'm
movie.
well, obviously, like I'm like I want to watch a new movie that I've never seen for this, but
Right.
I haven't seen this movie in quite a few years. So like probably 2017 when it came out, actually. So
Right.
I'm very excited to see it again because I've seen Jordan Peele's other movies, Us and Nope, and he is honestly like one of my favorite filmmakers working today. So I'm very excited to rewatch his first one. And it's crazy because like you think about Key and Peele and like where he his comedic roots, where he comes from, and it makes him though such a great horror director. And I think it really feeds into this idea of like comedy and horror and how timing when it comes to eliciting a laugh or a scare, it's very similar actually in a rhythmic sense. So I think it's just made him such a wonderful filmmaker, and I'm very excited for us to talk about Get Out on the podcast in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we're gonna rewatch it and review it on the podcast. Thank you for everyone who commented the numbers for Bible study. And if you're watching this, comment a random number. If it's not 420, we probably haven't done it. So, we keep getting 69s, we keep getting 420s. Now 420's off the table. But comment a random
69
number,
is still there.
Movie. 69 is still there.
Please comment numbers for us to choose from, and we'll watch the movies, no matter what they are. But hey, Jack, at least you're getting a newer one this time, not a 1934.
I'm gonna start a Letterboxd list of the movies we do for the Bible study, and rank them all.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that too. Yeah, and then we can compare on the podcast.
Yeah,
look at that. Hey, cool. All right. Hey. Well, it is time to move on to the box office numbers, the namesake of this podcast. Every week we go over the box office numbers from the weekend prior. And this time we're going over the box office numbers from the weekend of May 23rd to 26th, otherwise known as Memorial Day weekend.
I'm excited for this weekend.
These are really exciting. There was a lot of new films that came out, so it's fun to look through. I have them right here. I'm going to start by saying this, though. After 8 weeks, a Minecraft movie is finally out of the top 5. Round of applause. Yep.
About time.
It finally knocked out. And I was checking its worldwide gross. It is still just below $1 billion. It's at $944 million. It might not have enough to get across, actually. It might just finish.
Need a Minecraft movie re-release.
Right. At the 1 yard line. Needs that tush push for any of you football fans out there.
Really.
Okay. In 5th place, in its 6th weekend of release, now the longest tenured movie in this top 5 is Sinners by Ryan Coogler with another just under $11 million. That is, what is that? In terms of a drop. Oh, it doesn't even have the drop on here. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, in 4th place, coming in its 4th weekend with 12.2 million is Thunderbolts. In 3rd place, in its 2nd weekend of release, $24 million gross, Final Destination Bloodlines. And that leaves us with our top 2. 2 of them are both new releases, the big releases of Memorial Day weekend. Coming in 2nd place, making $79 million, is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. You look surprised.
Wait. Yeah, okay. I am surprised because I thought that was for sure number 1.
You thought, but you didn't know. Because number 1, with $182.6 million in its opening weekend, Lilo and Stitch.
I thought that was going to be a number 2.
You know what,
really
though, Jack? It's a holiday weekend, and that movie is like a family movie. Like, that is what makes the money. Because people take their kids out, and so they're paying for extra tickets compared to a 170-minute long Mission Impossible movie that only people like us are going to go see.
Is Friendship not on the list because technically they opened at the beginning of May?
No, Friendship is no, because it's any weekend that you're out. Obviously a Minecraft.
Right.
Friendship opened up to a wide release in 7th place, actually, with $5.6 million. 6th place was The Last Rodeo, which came out. I heard about this. I don't know anything about it, but I heard about it.
Never heard of that.
Just under $7 million in its first weekend of release, which is good enough for 6th place. Lilo and Stitch, though, in total at this point is sitting at $469 million worldwide. It's already outgrossed Thunderbolts entirely. It's been out for at this point, it's been out for a week. When this episode comes out, it'll be a little over a week, like a week and a half, and it's already outgrossed Thunderbolts.
That's insane to me because everyone talks shit about these live action remakes, but everyone goes to see them anyway.
I mean, again, it's just the power of a family film on a holiday weekend. Like that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I got one more fact about Lilo and Stitch's opening weekend for you. It's that Lilo and Stitch had the 4th biggest domestic box office gross on a Monday ever, beating films like No Way Home and Avengers Endgame for biggest opening Monday ever.
Well, that's because no school on Monday. It's Memorial Day, right?
Well, that definitely helped. I mean, for sure. But No Way Home also came out. No Way Home also came out in December, so it was around. Right.
But Avengers came out in May.
Yeah, like April, May, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, I get that, but I'm just saying those films, despite when they came out, made a tremendous amount of money on their Mondays, on any Monday. Whoa. Like Lilo and Stitch was able to surpass that. Yes, it was Memorial Day. Yeah, that helped it, of course. But it still was able to surpass those two massive films.
Still wild.
And both of those made $1 billion. So is that an indicator that Lilo and Stitch would... Actually, I think it's almost a guarantee Lilo and Stitch will cross $1 billion. It's almost at half of that, and it's been out a week.
In 1 week. Yeah.
So, I mean, right. And there's not really a lot of competition in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to have some, like the next biggest competition for this market of the box office is Elio, the new Pixar film. And that's not until towards the end of June. Like there isn't really competition at the box office for this specific audience.
Maybe How to Train Your Dragon. When does that come out?
Oh yeah. That's actually a good point. All right. I forgot about How to Train Your Dragon. That's like a week. That's still like only a week before. I think that's the week before Elio. So even How to Train Your Dragon, fine, that will be competition for Lilo and Stitch. But that's still a solid few weeks for Lilo and Stitch to rack up money. And that's not to say that Lilo and Stitch is still gonna. We do the top 5 here on this podcast, but Lilo and Stitch will probably hang around the top 10 for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if the fact that it's already almost at 500 million means it's got a good chance at $1 billion.
Do you think How to Train Your Dragon is going to do better?
No.
Really? I think it might.
I think the Lilo and Stitch IP is bigger. It's Disney. I think How to Train Your Dragon...
It is.
Like, I think How to Train Your Dragon might be better, but I think Lilo and Stitch financially will do better.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, just look at the start it's at. I don't know if I can predict that How to Train Your Dragon is going to have that same kind of bombastic opening weekend. And it probably will, but will it be as big? It doesn't have that Memorial Day push that Lilo and Stitch
had. We'll have to
see
how it does.
That we will. So those are your box office numbers for the weekend of May 23rd to 26th, Memorial Day weekend 2025. So with that, we're going to get into the film that did finish 7th on that list, Friendship. Over the weekend, Jack and I both saw this movie. Like I said, it stars Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, and we're going to, of course, start with non-spoiler reviews, but it's going to kind of blend together. It's not, it's no Mission Impossible, but we'll go ahead and give our ratings. Jack, why don't you start us off?
All right. Here is our ratings for the movie Friendship. I give it 9 foot-long Subway sandwiches on Italian urban cheese bread out of 10.
Man, I can't wait to get into that. All right, I give this film 8 speed bumps. Or really, I'd even say 8.5 speed bumps out of 10.
Dude, I love this movie, bro. I can't even be mad at an 8 because, I get it. But, I love this fucking movie.
I gave it an 8. I don't even want to talk negatives. I gave it an 8. The only negative is that I thought the story was rather unexciting and actually a little.
I agree.
I
wish they leaned into the darkness of it a little more.
I just wish that there was more going on than actually was. And so for me, like, but the thing is it was so fucking funny that it just didn't really matter that the story was kind of stupid and not interesting because it was such a good time. I was laughing so fucking much. I mean, like,
Me too.
joke after joke, bit after bit. It was really like his, I think you should leave, but on the big screen. And
It's Tim Robinson's delivery is so good.
Tim Robinson's delivery is fantastic, and like, there's really no one who can deliver the line "fuck" like Tim Robinson.
Fuck.
Yeah, like it's incredible. And I wanted to say, like, something that really stuck out to me about it is Paul Rudd was not as wacky in his comedy like Tim Robinson, in the way I thought it was going to be, the dynamic between them. In fact, he played it more as the straight man, but it was the fact that he played it as the straight man that made Tim Robinson's deliveries so much funnier. And I think it worked
really
well.
worked.
The dynamic
really
worked
worked.
very well, and it's a testament to Paul Rudd's comedic spectrum, that he can play the really absurd kind of comedic characters a la Tim Robinson, but can also play a straight man who still gets his jokes across, and it makes the situational comedy so much funnier. And so the whole thing was great.
I think that subway scene might be the hardest I've laughed in the theater ever, or at least in the last couple years. Like, that scene alone actually killed me in the theater.
Yeah, that was so funny. It, just I know we said no spoilers, but we might just have to break that.
We got to get into spoilers because, like,
we might
every
have to break
scene
that
is a
wall.
spoiler.
Yeah, so I mean, spoilers technically, but that scene being like, so he licks the frog and he's laying in the back of the fucking phone store, and it's supposed to just be his, like, fucking trip session, and it's just him ordering a fucking Subway sandwich, and he doesn't even get the sandwich.
How long did it last?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, like,
you 4 or 5 months. It's like a minute.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, it was like a minute. He's like, the toad ripped me off. Like, it was just.
He's like, did you find what you were looking for? He goes, no, I ordered a sandwich. So good.
It was such a.
Oh my god.
Especially when you think about how many comedies lean into acid and different trips, trip cycles just being super, well, trippy, like, for lack of a better word. Like, this flipped that joke on its head and the expectations of the audience on its head to just literally him doing one of the most normal things in the whole movie. It actually is literally the most normal scene of Tim Robinson in the whole movie.
100%.
And that is what sells that as one of the funniest scenes in the film. Because it, like I said, it flipped the expectation of the audience. And it really is, like, this is what I was talking about last week a bit with comedy. It's stupid. The jokes are stupid. The surface level of the content is fucking dumb as shit. But it's actually very smart because it's very well thought out and written and performed. And the timing of it is so key. And that's why comedy is such a difficult genre to nail down. And Tim Robinson is doing it like nobody else.
Yeah, and this if you're not a fan of Tim Robinson, this movie, it's not going to work for you if you don't like his comedy, because he is himself. Like, he does his comedy. But there's also in this movie little, like, just lines and line deliveries just in conversation that are so good and so underappreciated. Like that one guy who just stands up on the chair and he's like, I think we should have pulled out of Afghanistan. Just a random side character who says one stupid line that just kills everyone in the theater. It was so funny, and it has nothing to do with anything. It's just a throwaway line, and it's so good. And there's so much of that.
That was because you talked about, so, like, that actually was, and you call it a throwaway line. You're right. It's literally just, like, thrown in there. It was one of my favorite jokes in the entire movie. It actually was one of my favorite jokes. And the way they set that up, obviously, that scene when Tim Robinson's character Craig is sitting in the garage at his drum kit,
with his
drums. The whole thing is the party is a welcome back for his wife Tammy because she was lost in the sewer because of him. Literally, that was so funny when the cops came to his house and they're like, "Where's your wife?" And he's like, "In the sewer."
In the sewer.
Which was so funny. But, and he's talking. Yeah, they're like, what? And then they're down there, and he was like, "It was an adventure!" Like, it's just so
Yeah, he's
good.
like, he called you pigs. He fucking called you guys pigs. But he's freaking out while he's getting arrested.
It was too good. It was too good. But
Dude. Oh yeah, no, you keep going.
well, I was just saying, like, obviously, you know, they set up that scene with that guy. He's wearing like the veteran hat, and it starts off super nice. It's like, yo, like you're her husband. Like, oh, you must be so psyched to have her back, this and that. Then they start arguing, like, fuck you, fuck you. He's like, I don't know who the fuck you are. And like, then they
Get out of my house.
Yeah. Then they get to the scene where they're all like making toast, and he stands up on the chair. And this actually killed me because he's like, Tammy, we're all so lucky and happy to have you back. And he specifically goes, the world is a more beautiful place with you in it. And then immediately goes, we should have never left Afghanistan. And it actually, I thought I was going to like shit my pants. It was so fucking funny.
It's so good. Dude, that scene is so good. There's also one of my other favorite scenes is the ending with when he pulls out the gun.
Yeah.
And he pulls out the gun. And, like, again, a random throwaway line. He pulls out the gun. He's aiming it at all the people. And then he goes, who the fuck is this guy? You guys already got a new guy? And then he's like, what's your name? And he goes, Jimp. And he goes, Jim? And he's like, no, Jimp. It's like jump with an I. And he's like, what the fuck? And it's like a random throwaway line, but it's so funny.
Oh, my God.
Stupid.
And obviously the whole bit with the toupee. When he's like helping,
He's
when
like,
he's
"Get the fuck
helping,
on the ground."
he's like, "Get on the fucking ground!" And he like looks back at him, and he's like giving him like the look, and Paul Rudd's just trying to fix the toupee. Oh my God, this movie was.
I love this movie.
This movie was hilarious. Like Jack said, like if you don't like Tim Robinson's comedy, this isn't for you, and that's fine. It's subjective. But for you and I both, it works. It was hilarious. The timing of it is so great. It killed me. I loved it. I want to see more of this kind of stuff. These kinds of comedies coming out, these dark comedies with just absurdist situational humor. It's great.
I love it.
I mean, even
would
like
love
the whole like recurring bit with the speed bump. I mentioned that at the beginning of talking about friendship, like where he's like, "I saved the neighborhood. Like I made this place
I got
safe.
that speed bump here.
I put that speed bump in," and then obviously at the end he's gonna go ram the car, and the speed bump just wipes out his tires. Like just another random moment.
He's the most dangerous person in that neighborhood, but he's talking about how he made it safe for the speed bump. It's just so funny. He's like an actual lunatic.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really even have much more to say about it besides.
It
was just I recommend seeing it. It's a, probably low budget A24 movie. I think it was awesome, and I think everyone who likes Tim Robinson should absolutely see it because it will knock your fucking socks off.
Yeah, I recommend it, and definitely like in the theaters if you can catch it while it's still out. It's
good when you have a fun theater who laughs.
Yeah, in my theater, I don't know about yours, but they were into it. Like there was this one guy who was cackling the whole time, and it just added to it too. It was just like we're all having a good, because it's like we're all having a good time together, and it elevates the experience. It was great. So definitely check that out. Let's move on to some films that have just come out. The Cannes Film Festival. I know this isn't totally your area, but I think you're going to find this interesting. So the Cannes Film Festival happened last week. Always goes down in Cannes, and it's generally kind of like the precursor event to films that come out theatrically later in the year that then go on to fight for awards. Like this is really the starting point. And the exciting thing about this podcast to look forward to is when we get to start covering the race to the Oscars. I think that's going to be an exciting time. This is really where it starts. And so it just wrapped up, and there was something interesting that happened. I'm not going to go through all the winners per se of the different awards, but I wanted to shout out that the film studio, the distributor Neon?
Yeah.
They have now won the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival for 6 years in a row, the Palme d'Or. That is the top prize. It's given out to the best film. They have won it 6 years in a row. Those films being Parasite, Titane, Triangle of Sadness, Anatomy of a Fall, Anora, And now this year's winner, It Was Just an Accident.
I've never even heard of that movie.
You wouldn't have. I'll give you a premise. I don't even really know myself, but I'm sure it's on Letterboxd. Yeah, here it is. It says night driver Egbal en route with his pregnant wife kills a dog. Stranded, he seeks help at Vahid's garage. Unaware, his rescuer believes him to be the prison officer who tortured him. Convinced, Vahid abducts Egbal to bury him alive, but doubts soon arise. To confirm Egbal's identity, Vahid enlists fellow victims. During their ride, they contemplate the morality of killing their captive and whether he actually is who they believe him to be.
The fuck?
So
that sounds crazy. But
yeah, directed by Jafar Panahi. It's an Iranian film. So it'll be interesting to see what this does in terms of the Oscar race moving forward later in the year. But it is worth noting that of these 6 films, or the 5 that come before this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 were nominated for Best Picture. All of them won an Oscar of some kind, I'm pretty sure, but 2 of them went home with the big prize, that being Parasite in 2019 and Anora just this last year. So that's a big deal and definitely a storyline to keep an eye on moving forward. And
I loved Anora, so I'm excited to see what else they make.
Yeah, no, Anora was really cool. And then there's the second prize, which is the Grand Prix at the Cannes Film Festival. I think I'm saying that right. I might not be saying any of it right. But that's like the secondary prize at the festival. It's the second most prestigious one after the Palme d'Or. Mm-hmm. And the winner this year was also a neon film. And this was one that a lot of people thought was going to win the Palme d'Or. So this is a film, it's called Sentimental Value. It stars Renee Rentsev and Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning. And this is a film that's about, I don't even know. It has something to do. Oh, I think it has something to do with like these sisters. Their mother dies, and their father's like a big like filmmaker or playwright or something like that, and that's the Stellan Skarsgård character. And he offers a role to one of the sisters in his show, and she turns it down. So he hires like this up and coming Hollywood actress, but there's tension between her and the actual relationship with the daughters. And so that's apparently what it's kind of about. And that's another film that's going to probably get a theatrical release around October or November or something. That's definitely going to play a role in the race this year. And it took
the second. Neon's on a hot streak.
They are on a crazy streak. I mean, most of the time it's just them gobbling up, like buying it to distribute it to the United States audiences. Yeah. But it's still impressive, the eye for the talent that they have, and that they're collecting these films, distributing them, attaching their name to work that is being recognized by auteurs and other filmmakers. It's not just like bullshit American critics or people like you and I who are just doing a podcast. Like, this is actually people who spend their lives doing this, working in this industry. And so for a film to win the Palme d'Or or the Grand Prix, and then also come over and win the Oscar, which, by the way, it hasn't happened very much. There's films that are in the race that win prizes there, but it hasn't always been the case where a film took home both prizes. It means you're getting like massive recognition from international audiences and critics and all associations about your film. The only films actually that have achieved this ever is Marty, which came out in 1955, The Lost Weekend, which came out in 1945, Parasite in 2019, and Anora this year. Like, that's how big Anora's win was when you put Anora into context. And obviously, we started this podcast a little after that all went down, but man, the discourse around that and everything going on, I mean, it swept. It took basically top prizes all across the board. And I didn't even love the movie like that. I liked it. I thought it was a great movie. Yeah, but I didn't love it. I didn't think it was like the movie of the year unequivocally. But I love seeing an indie filmmaker like Sean Baker, who's had such a hardworking, successful career, get honored across the board from all associations and all countries like that. And maybe we'll see it happen again this year. It's happened twice in the last 6 years, both for Neon. So what a strong run. But the Cannes Film Festival, congrats to everybody who had their films shown there. And a lot of the movies that we talk about on this podcast debut there. Even Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning played there. Like that was like kind of
cool.
their top one.
That's when he got his 7-minute ovation, standing ovation. Tom Cruise.
Yeah, they do like the crazy ovations, and I think I read that Sentimental Value. Sentimental Value, the one that was the runner-up at the Cannes Film Festival this year, got like the longest standing ovation in Cannes Film Festival history. Those standing ovations to me kind of look. I don't know if you've ever seen videos of them. They kind of look like fake. Because after a while, you're just
they're like awkward. Because
they are, because you're just like, you're like all clapping for like 10 minutes or some shit, and you're just standing there like, okay.
Did you hear what Tramel Tillman said about that?
No. What did he say?
He before the movie started, he really had to pee, and his like publicist was like, "No, you can't go right now. Like, it's a bad look to leave right as your own movie starts." And he waited till the end. And he made it through the end, and they gave him a glass of water, even though he was like, all right, I have to pee. Like, I'm not drinking this. And I think he said this on Kimmel or Fallon or something. And he gets to the end, and he's like ready to leave. And then all of a sudden, a 7-minute standing ovation. He has to stand there. And I rewatched him standing there. And dude, he is sweating bullets. Bro. He's like, he wants to leave so bad. Like, he's like, I have to pee so bad. And in the video, he looks like, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. And he's fake smiling, everything. It's really funny.
Dude, though, we've all been there before, haven't we? And poor Tramel Tillman, he deserves better. Like, I mean, look, the standing ovation's an honor, but it's like, man, peeing is a bigger honor in that moment.
It's like, after waiting 3 hours.
Yeah, right. Like, look, you gotta go, and it's funny because he's probably seen the movie too, right? Or I'm sure at some point he had, maybe not, but bet. Like, I'm sure he had, right? So I feel bad for the guy, but all right, so that's the Cannes Film Festival. So good luck to all those movies, or congrats to the winners, and good luck to those moving forward into the awards season. Later this year, we will cover all of that then. Right before we get to the big part of the show, I just wanted to bring up Actors on Actors. Have you ever watched that before?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, like the actors interviewing each other. They came out with their season 22 lineup. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see it, no.
But I was just going to read a few of some of the pairings to you because I think they're pretty interesting.
Go ahead.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger and his son Patrick Schwarzenegger, which is the first father-son duo. I think that's cool. Seth Rogen and Jason Segel.
I like that.
Parker Posey and Lisa Kudrow. Sterling K. Brown and Natasha Rothwell. Amanda Seyfried and Adam Brody. Javier Bardem and Diego Luna.
That's great.
Joe Locke and Charlie Cox. Kate Hudson and Catherine Hahn. Kerry Russell and Scott Speedman. Adam Scott and Kristen Bell. Kathy Bates and Billy Bob Thornton. Dave Chappelle and Mo Amer. And then finally, I saved the best for last. Colin Farrell and Danny DeVito, the two penguins.
Yo, that is sick.
So
that is great conversation.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fucking cool. I loved a few of them. I loved Robert Downey Jr.'s with Jodie Foster, and I loved it's escaping me. There's a bunch that are really good though.
I liked Kieran Culkin and Domingo Coleman.
That's what it was. I was trying to remember.
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, Coleman Domingo and Kieran Culkin's was so good. But yeah, I'm excited for the Penguin one. I am really excited. That's going to be awesome. Me
too. Before we move on to the last thing, I want to bring up one more thing. Before we talk Last of Us.
Yes.
There has been a huge surge and want and need from the community to get a Battlefront 3. You and I love Star Wars Battlefront 2. We need to get back into it. We're getting into it soon.
On Monday.
We love that game.
When this comes out yesterday.
I want to throw out some numbers because you could go anywhere online on Instagram, TikTok, anything. I'll see a video about like a bodybuilder, and the first top comment would be, "We need Battlefront 3," or it'll be a picture of Paul Revere. It'll say Battlefront 3. You go anywhere online now and it's Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3, Battlefront 3. Battlefront 3 has reached in the last 30 days, as in May, has jumped a 662% player increase. It has reached record high amounts of players, concurrent players for Battlefront 2. It's got new and returning players in the tens of thousands. It peaked at over 100,000 players on all platforms this month. Battlefront 2 is making a huge comeback, and the need for Battlefront 3 is so rampant. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because I know you love the game as much as I do.
Didn't it also have its single largest day in terms of players?
The game
ever?
came out like 8 years ago, and it had the biggest,
and it
hasn't
had
the
support. It hasn't even had support in like 3 or 4 years at this point.
Yeah, the game died out years ago.
But I meant even just support from EA, like actual updates and stuff. So, what's awesome about this, to relate it to film and television, is that a lot of this is coming off the excitement of Andor, which is awesome. Andor and the Revenge of the Sith re-release is what's really sparking a lot of the Battlefront revival and the protest for a third. And we do need a third. It's so long overdue. There's so many characters and maps that they can include, and a new campaign would be so awesome. That's one of the least talked about parts of the game. We always talk about heroes, villains, supremacy, galactic assault, Ewok hunt, but the campaign was actually a lot of fun too.
What is your ideal? Yeah, it was really great. What's your ideal Battlefront 3 look like? Like,
what do you mean?
A solid campaign. Like what kind of features? Like a solid campaign, new heroes, right?
Yeah, new hero. I mean, I want to see them keep a lot of the game modes, because I think a lot of the game modes from the last Battlefront 2 were awesome. Like, it might have been some of the best really game modes that they've ever had. So I'd like to see a lot of those brought back, but there's so many new characters that they can incorporate, new skins, new maps. Like, I just think that it would be really cool to see how they incorporate a lot of the Disney era. And I know that they have sequel characters in Battlefront 2, but a lot of like the Disney Plus era of Disney into this show. Getting like an Ahsoka in there, or even getting like Cassian,
get the Clone Wars in there.
Or get some of the Clone Wars characters in there. Get Cassian Andor and some of the Andor characters in there. Get Mando in there, or Grogu in there.
It really makes no sense. I used to play the original Battlefront and Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation. And the PS2, and they had characters. They had every single Jedi you could think of, every single Sith you could think of. Padme was playable. Like characters you wouldn't even think of. Like you could play as Greedo and Nine Nub in the last one, and then they just take it out. And there was a game mode called Hunt, which was amazing. Depending on the map you were on, you would either play as the native creature to the map or like a stormtrooper. Or a rebel. So it'd be like if you were on Hoth, you would play as the Wampa or the rebel. Or if you were on Geonosis, you play as the Geonosians or the stormtroopers. If you were on Ewok, or Endor, you play as the Ewok or the stormtroopers. Like game mode, we need more fun game modes like that. And they just kind of took everything out of this Battlefront 2 game and ended live support. So they just stopped updating it, stopped giving the fans what they want. And this resurgence for it is really, I don't know. Do you think it's going to do anything? Do you think we're going to get this game?
I mean, even the developers, like the actual people who like develop the game, they want to make another one. Then
let's get it.
There is clearly a demand for it. And I mean, EA is a weird studio who makes weird decisions. Weren't they the ones who are just going to do that Black Panther game that got canceled, or was that someone else? Like I
don't even know.
They have some weird, I don't know if that was them, but either way, they I don't know. EA is just not trustworthy. That's the unfortunate reality. I wish it was a different studio doing Battlefront. Ultimately, though, like, I want to believe we'll get a Battlefront 3 because, like I said, the demand is so strong. I'm also afraid that it's just a movement a trend that's gonna die out as quick as it started, and they brush past it and never touch it again. So I don't know realistically, but I'm hopeful. One can only be hopeful, and in the meantime, we got to just all keep going on Battlefront 2, I guess, and show them that it has massive support and that the audience and the base is still there for a third one.
Mm-hmm. I love the movement. I would love Battlefront 3. But at this point, after waiting 8 years or however long it's been, I would settle for them to come back to Battlefront 2 and make it better. You know,
I would too, but I think that
I wouldn't hate that.
I think that ship has sailed at this point. I really think it's a new game or nothing. Like, I don't think they're ever gonna update that or support that again.
Probably not. They gave up on it.
Yeah, they gave up on it too fucking soon.
Yeah, I just
bullshit.
I know we both love it, so I just wanted to get your thoughts. Yeah, I agree. It's a great movement, and let's keep it going. Battlefront 3.
I know someone else who loves it, and we got to go pick up this kid from school real quick. But our guest, who's going to join us for this next segment, and the main meal of this show, these were all the appetizers, which is The Last of Us Season 2, our review, our thoughts. This guy is a total massive fan. He's played the games, both Last of Us 1 and 2, and I've seen clips of the cutscenes, but I've never played them. I don't think you have either, right?
No, I've just watched the cutscenes.
Yeah, so like he's the whole 9 yards. Like he knows his shit. He's the expert. We're bringing in the expert. He would like Battlefront 3 to happen too, I'm sure. And so we're gonna pause our recording to go get him on into this shebang. You will not, hopefully, in parentheses, notice the difference. But Jack and I will be right back after these messages.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2 seconds for you guys, hopefully.
Well, we're back. That was like 17 days for us. It was like 40 long days and 40 long nights. But hopefully for you folks at home, it was food, water, and atmosphere. That's what we're looking for. So hopefully for you folks at home, it was just a blink of an eye. But we are joined by a very special guest, and the first guest in the history of the Box Office Dynasty. You all know him from our prior episodes, 76. But this is
everywhere.
It's come up a few times on this podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome Brandon. Brandon, welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. I'm honored to be the first guest.
Yeah,
and you're coming back for episode 76 also. We already had that plan.
And actually, it's really funny because I've seen 76, I think 6 times over the last 2 days.
Oh, shit.
Like 2 to 3 days.
That's just a normal 2-day span for you.
No, it was way more than usual because it's like 1 to 2 times most a day. Like a chill week is like seeing it once that week. But I watched Brave New World, which had a giant 76 on one of the boats.
I remember that.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it on my receipt when I went to the grocery store, and I saw it at work, and I've seen it too. It just keeps popping up, man.
You can't escape.
I really can't escape, and this has been going on since what? I think we were like 17, Josh.
Dude, it was
like 15 or 16.
It was like 15.
We've known each other since 2011, right?
Yeah, since we were in middle school. When we were 18, I went to Philadelphia on like a little trip with one of my friends, my friend Danny, and we were just like hanging out, you know, like vibing, like checking out the place, you know, whatever. Like we wanted to do it because I was about to go to college. We were friends a long time. We were like, let's go on a trip. So went to Philly, and I remember we got like these cheesesteaks. We're like, we're in Philly, we gotta get Philly cheesesteaks. So we got these Philly cheesesteaks, and we're sitting on the Delaware River, and we're looking across in the other way back at Jersey, and lo and behold, what do I see across but a giant fucking 76, just a sign that said 76. I have no idea what the hell had anything to do with anything, but I remember I took a picture, and I think I'm sure I sent it into our group chat at the time, be like, Brandon, I see your house.
Yeah.
You're over there.
It's like an angel number for me, apparently. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the angel numbers.
Just chases me.
It's everywhere. But we brought you in for a very special reason. But first, I want you to back me up. We were just talking about Battlefront 3. You want that to happen. We know you want that to happen too.
Of course I want that to happen.
Yeah, see,
I've been a fan of Battlefront since even before I knew you, because my brother played the old ones.
Yes.
And a bunch of my friends at the time had PSPs. This was back when I went to like a Catholic school before I knew you. They had PSPs and I had a DS. and Battlefront 2 on DS was awful, but I had it. They had the PSP versions, which for as close as you can get to the actual thing, it was still a PSP version.
Yeah.
But I remember just sitting there with them so bummed that I couldn't be playing Battlefront the way I wanted to. It was just like this top-down shooter on the DS.
Oh, dude, that
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah, it was bad, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Well, that's how we feel now without Battlefront 3.
Yeah, and
We're like,
the
where is
studio has literally talked about wanting to. I think they said something about wanting to remaster 1 and 2, and then use
shit.
that knowledge and skill to do a third one.
Dude, because those
Oh,
two
okay, that'd be
the
cool.
original first two are so good.
Yeah.
They have so much
Yeah.
more stuff. So much
One
more
was
content.
really slept on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Well, I'm
Well-
glad we all agree. Battlefront 3, let's go. Let's fucking
Yeah,
go.
we're
Definitely.
like the Paul Revere memes, like Battlefront 3 is coming.
I love
it's
it.
coming.
I
But
love
all right,
it.
well,
It's going to be a cultural event when it happens.
It better
bigger.
be,
I told
yeah.
you it's going to be bigger than GTA 6.
Oh yeah, probably.
That would be
Battlefront
insane.
3. Battlefront 3. You
It'll
heard it here
happen before
first.
GTA 6.
100%. Everything happens before GTA
Yeah.
6.
Literally everything, including us talking about the season 2 of The Last of Us. So we were giving a little quick introduction to Brandon before we got you in here, and we were talking about how Jack and I have never played the games. We both have seen cutscenes, but you're coming in here to give us a bit of a different perspective on your opinion. So we're all going to go down the line. We're going to give our ratings of the season first, and we'll talk a little bit non-spoilers, but that usually doesn't last very long. We usually very much get
Yeah.
into spoilers. So, well, you are our guest, so please come give us your rating of season 2 of The Last of Us.
So, I feel very conflicted because I have kind of two ratings. As a fan of the games, and as just like a normal television watcher. And that rating for the game, for the adaptation version of it, has dropped a lot. So it's at a 5, unfortunately.
Okay.
However, as just like a regular watcher, if I didn't have the knowledge of the game, I'd probably give it a 7. I gave the first season a 9.
Okay, so big drop off.
Yes.
That's valid. Josh, what are you feeling?
Well, I gave the first season a 10. And this is my perspective, and I know more about Last of Us now than I did when the first season came out, which alters, I guess, my perspective on my rating. But like the first season blew me away. I thought that was incredible television, 10 out of 10. Season 2, it hangs around the 8 area. I say 8.5 because I think a couple of the episodes are high enough. Like episode 2, and how many episodes is the season? 9?
7.
This one was 7, yeah.
This was 7?
Season 1 was either 8 or 9, but season 2 was only 7.
Okay, then episodes 2 and 6 for me were my favorites of the season and elevate the rating a bit more than if they didn't exist. But I would say probably around an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I give The Last of Us season 2. I mean, I'm right there with you guys. I give it a 7 out of 10. I also gave, like Brandon said, season 1 a 9. But I also didn't play the game, so this is why I'm glad Brandon's here, because all I've been seeing are the complaints from people who've played the games, and they're like, this is the shittiest adaptation I've ever seen. Season 1 was apparently super accurate. Season 2 is way off. So as a player, Brandon, are you like infuriated with this season?
Kind of, yes and no. So,
Okay.
so let me give some context here. I actually have a few things to show.
Oh,
it's
it's got props.
Yeah, I have collector's editions of both of the games.
Yo, that's
And
sick.
this was given to me by a really good friend. This is the vinyl soundtrack for the 10th anniversary for both games.
That's fucking sick.
It has-
That's sick.
It's literally both games. It's all the music.
That artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, and they're colored vinyls too. So like each one, I think it's like blue, red, orange, and green. But season 1 was handled really well. And I was really excited to see season 2 or part 2 adapted because 1 is really intricate with its emotions. 2 is even more intricate because everything's so tied into each other. And my biggest concern was how they would handle certain things, with if they would pull back on a lot of things to adapt it for television, and they did. As soon as I saw that it was going to be 7 episodes, I already called that they weren't gonna. I wasn't gonna be fully happy. Um, a lot of the emotional weight that comes from part two is probably one of the heaviest hitting games I've ever played. It's depressing and it's dark, and it makes you really really feel something. And those moments, um, like in episode 6, where it's not as dark and depressing, it feels like a breath of fresh air. And while they did capture that, I don't think they balanced everything as well as they could have.
What game do you like better?
It depends on the day that you ask me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about
so,
today?
So
What about today?
part 2, because I'm halfway through part 2. When season 2 started, I actually went back to play part 1 on my PC. They released a remaster and it was really buggy at the time. Finally fixed it, so I got to replay that, and then I played up to where Ellie's story finished, and I literally finished that last night, so that I would have more notes and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I have some questions, but like it. I feel like we should just get into spoilers. Do you
yeah.
guys care if we just get into spoilers?
I'm dancing around things here.
I
Yeah.
think we should.
Yeah.
I want to throw a statement out there. I wanted to kind of begin with this. I wonder if the result of season 2 is part of is more reactionary to the criticisms that they received from the game compared to the first game, and not comparing anything to the first season. You know, like I feel like largely the first season wasn't even thought of when making this season. And it felt very much like, all right, now we're adapting The Last of Us Part 2 game. And there was a lot of criticisms, I guess, based on the content that we're about to get into. And I feel like this season felt very reactionary to those criticisms. And so I want to
Like
get
they're
your
trying to
thoughts.
fix their mistakes.
Yeah, like they're trying to utilize the medium of adapting it onto television to correct the things that they felt they got wrong, rather than adapting the story for what it was and maybe just making it work. Because the truth be told, it's a much different medium with less time to get into
It is.
lore. And so obviously you have to make some tough decisions about what stays for the show and what gets cut, because you can't have every little thing. Gameplay can be many, many hours long. Now, 7 episodes is probably too little, but on the flip
I can
side,
guarantee it's too low.
it is too little, but those are
Yeah.
decisions to be made. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on all that, Brandon, because it definitely came across that way, even to someone like myself who hasn't played the game.
So that's what I've been hearing from a lot of people who haven't played the game. Um, it's. Are we in spoiler territory yet?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we're
yeah,
good
yeah.
to go spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go. So if you haven't
They
watched
cut out-
season 2, yeah.
So I understand that like they need to cut out certain things. I'll say this. By the end of Ellie's story in the game in part 2, I hit about like 16, 17 hours. And a lot of that extra content is just like combat, roaming, stuff like that. But the way that they handled the combat and the roaming, there's so many little encounters that really do make it feel like a lived world. So like interactions between Ellie and Dina, or like collectibles that you'll pick up. Like there was a beautiful and depressing overarching story about these 2 survivors. I forgot the second name, but the first name's Jules. And you find this note trail throughout the entirety of the 3 days in Seattle, basically trying to lead this person like, hey, I'm going this way, please meet up with us. And it's someone who ends up becoming a scar, and they just want their friend to come with them. But
I
they
think-
completely cut that.
I think that is like the inherent problem with video game adaptations is all video games get you so immersed. Like I'm a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah.
And you could do anything. in
Yeah,
that. Like
that-
there's such the interactions in that game. You'll be riding your horse. You'll see like people doing the craziest shit out in the wilderness. You'll come across a million different types of things that the developers planned for. And if they made a live action adaptation, that would just all get cut.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I think that's part of the business. You know,
It is a big
you
part of it.
have to do that. And I guess like since I haven't played the games, I'm sure there's some like side quest type things that they've added at least to season 1. But season 2, I mean, I've seen that complaint that they've just taken out so much stuff that makes it feel like a real world, that makes it
Yeah.
feel like what gets everyone into the world in the first place.
There was one point when I was playing and I was in the theater, and Dina and Jesse were just having their own conversation, and I was just getting ready to step outside, and I was just blown away. I was just sitting there
I love
listening to a
that.
full-on conversation.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's what really makes you feel like you're like a part of the game when you're playing it, when you're fully immersed. And it's not the same when you translate it to films or shows, but I feel like part one did it, or season one did a better job of making you feel more drawn in.
Are there any changes that they made that you actually liked?
That's a
There's
great
certain
question.
little elements. So here's the thing, for everything that I like, there's something that I also don't like. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take the birthday scene, for example. I think it was beautifully done, that sequence. I actually think it's better than, like, just in that room is better than it is in the game.
Which birthday? Because they jump. There's time
Well,
jumps.
the
The whole thing.
the astronaut, the
Oh,
astronaut.
that one. That one. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do
Yeah.
like the previous birthdays in the game. They do other flashbacks, which I'll talk about, which I really don't understand why they cut, but I'll get to that. Um, the thing that bothered me about that birthday sequence in the little drone or whatever it's called, um,
It
there's a
was
part
the
after
the
that.
spaceship.
Yeah, there's a part after it where they stumble into this locked off area of the building, and on the wall there's a firefly or like their logo or whatever on the wall, and it says liars. And there's this really clever shot where Joel and Ellie are talking, and she's suspicious of him. But Joel, the way that he moves, he's standing right next to liars, but he's covering the S. So
Oh,
you see
Oh,
that he's lying. Like it's not too like in your face. It's just diagenic part of the scenery.
I will say.
so they should just add that in. Like that's
I
such an easy
That's
thing to
such a
add in.
small thing that they cut. It's literally like 10
Yeah.
extra minutes of that segment.
I will say though, I kind of like that doesn't happen that same birthday because I like the impact that they were going for. That we get at least one happy memory with these two, to show that, to see
That's fair.
that contrast, and I think that was a necessary moment. But the shot you're describing is so cool, and I feel like there's definitely somewhere that they could have implemented that in, because the birthday we're describing was like her 16th birthday. We see her 17th, her 18th, her 9th, like 17th, 19th, like we
Yeah.
see some of the other ones that come after. They definitely, and that's when she starts to really, because she's 16, she's still a little naive, like she doesn't suspect him yet. So I'm okay that they don't put it there, that they feel maybe like let's let this memory be what it is for them and for the audience. And down the line, because we have the whole sequence, we see how everything goes down between Joel and Eugene. And I think that the show effectively as a whole in this episode conveyed this slow disintegration of their relationship and the distrust that builds between Ellie and Joel. I think they get that across. I do.
I do too. I agree.
I I can see, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about, Eugene and how they may have done that differently in the game. But I did think that for the purpose of the show, it did come across what they were trying to do. So in terms of the whole, shot with the liar thing, like, I'm glad they don't implement that in that particular scene with the spaceship, because it was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show, because it was a happy memory for them, in contrast to what is otherwise a very dark show. And I think it's necessary, like I said, for the audience and the characters. But yeah, the shot would have been cool, but I do think the show as a whole did like effectively carry that out. That's why I like that episode. But I want to hear your thoughts about it.
So, like most of my opinions with season two, I really enjoyed the first half of that episode. And then as soon as they get to Eugene, it pissed me off so much because who was the actor that played Eugene again? I always forget his name. I don't know why.
I actually
I have no
don't
idea.
remember. I mean, I know the
He's a
actress
comedian.
who played Gail. I don't remember who played Eugene.
So whoever played Eugene, he's a comedian. And in the game, Eugene and Dina were partners for when they would do routes when she was younger. And Ellie asks Dina about Eugene during one of their trails, and she makes a comment about him being like a funny guy. So I have a suspicion that they hired a comedian because of that line. But he didn't die like that in the game. He died a peaceful death at 76, ironically. Ironically.
Oh my
Yep. I have been holding this in for so long.
It's been bound to come up this episode.
That's
It had to.
fucking
It had to.
nuts.
That's towards the top of my notes.
That's like
Literally.
the title
That's
of your
hilarious.
notes. Like, that's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. All right, I guess him not
He-
dying isn't, but like at 76, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was how he died in the game. In the show, it feels much more like they're trying to push the narrative that you shouldn't fully like Joel.
I felt that too. I did
And
feel that.
the problem with that is, in the game, a lot of people complained about it in the game. A lot of people were so angry about it in the game. And it was like a subtle touch of, hey, you shouldn't love this. And understandable. You shouldn't fully love Joel and look up to Joel because he does kill a lot of people. But at the same time, there's this character that a lot of people love. And it feels like they kind of just turned that around and said, you know what, we don't care. And in the show, it feels like they took it a step further. And it, especially when Ellie tells Gail that it was Joel, it pissed me off so much because Ellie in the game, as mad as she would never have done that. And that sequence, the flashback that was the most important that they cut, in my opinion, should have been there. And it's a flashback in which Ellie goes back to St. Mary's in Salt Lake by herself. And she explores the hospital looking for any clues as to why they could have left, if they ever made a cure, and she's completely alone. And you get to walk through the hospital finding, I think it was MRI scans, and so much of this really, like, it really invests you in the fact that you're exploring a derelict hospital that your character was once at. And eventually you find this recording, and it's just explaining about how everyone packed up and everyone moved. And ironically, it's Abby, way before she ever meets her. And once she leaves the hospital, Joel comes racing on a horse. And this was the scene where she learned the truth. Because on that recorder, Abby says it. And she says to Joel, tell me one last time what happened here. And if it's not the truth, we're done. And he tells her the truth. Like the whole truth. He lays it all out. And she says, I'm going back, but we're done. And she even pushed him out of a hug. Like he had his arms fully wrapped around her and she shoved him away. And there was so much power. Like I saw this yesterday. I didn't remember the sequencing of where it was. I was in tears.
See, I think that is so much better.
It is.
I don't understand how HBO can take liberties like in season 1, episode 3 with the two dudes, like that whole episode. Do you remember that? Like,
Yup.
apparently that wasn't in the game, and
Nope.
that was like the best episode they had that whole season.
It was
And
very
then
different.
Then they do shit like this, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, why do you take these liberties that? I mean, that's so much more powerful than him. It was a good scene when she sits on the porch with him and he tells the truth, and especially since they kind of hid that from us, that we all thought that wasn't the last time they saw each other, and then we get it. It's nice, but knowing what could have been actually kind of pisses me off.
And it also would have utilized Abby more, in a season. Like, I know now they're saying season 3 is going to be like the Abby season, which I don't really know how I feel about taking a whole season to cut away from one of the the main. I know that Last of Us Part 2 is kind of like an Ellie mirroring Abby story, but to just completely cut away from the central character we followed for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Feels very abrupt and weird.
There's a bigger problem with it as a show because in the game, when it goes to black, you immediately jump into Abby's story. You just go through a flashback. But in the show, now there's at least 2 year wait. So
Yeah,
I feel like
right.
a lot of people are going to drop off. The viewership has already dropped down for the finale. I know that much.
Not even just the finale; it dropped across after season 2, or episode 2, which I want to talk about next. The viewership dropped tremendously, as I predicted
50%
on the podcast, because I made a connection to The Walking Dead, and when Glenn was killed, that changed the trajectory of that show forever. The viewership dropped off a cliff, and it never recovered, and it never did. So I was speculating that it could be similar, especially for people who watch the show who love Joel, who haven't played the game, and now you're just cutting bait with him in episode 2. Like I just it's definitely affects the show, and now it's going to be at least probably like 4 years until we see Ellie again, if we're waiting till maybe the end of season 3, I guess, but like season 4, realistically.
I really don't think they need another season after. I think they could just do a wrap-up movie if they wanted to.
How far into the game does season 2 end? Like, is that halfway through, or is it more or less?
It's like 40%.
Okay, but do you think they could have done the entire part 2 game in one season?
It wouldn't be. It would have to be like at least a 24-episode season, I think.
You're not going to get that for that kind of
show. It was the right idea
yeah.
to split it.
It was the right idea to split it,
okay.
but I don't think that they got the right amount of episodes.
But should they have
And I'm saying
split
that
it?
Is crazy.
But again, did they split it? I'm not even saying necessarily did they split at the right point, but is it necessarily the best idea to split in a way where you're now dedicating a whole season to a character we barely even saw in season 2? And when we did see her, I thought I thought Caitlin Dever was actually one of the standouts of the season. Like when we did see her,
she embodies her very well.
I thought it was very well cast. I know a lot of people who are fans of the game were worried about how they were going to nail the Abby role, and were actually worried for the actress that got the role. But I think Caitlin Dever has handled it very well, played it very well, and they didn't use her enough. So now you expect the audience to just fully commit to her as our character in season 3. It's like you said, you flip the idea of Joel on your head, and now we're not even sure who the protagonist of the show is supposed to be.
It's even more confusing because HBO pulled, whether it was HBO or Druckmann or whoever, I have a suspicion it was Druckmann, just because Druckmann's a little bit of an interesting dude with his choices. But they basically gutted anything that had to do with Abby within Ellie's story once she reaches Seattle, aside from the friends. And yeah, that's really it. Because Tommy's role in the game, even in Ellie's story, is so much bigger. Well, I don't want to say so much bigger, but you see his body trail. And
I will say,
I would have liked that.
Yeah.
Brandon, I know we talked after episode 2, because Brandon and I would converge every week to discuss our thoughts.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about the changes they made by adding the Jackson attack, which I thought, in terms of an episode of television, was one of the best episodes this show has done so far.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was very well done. The mirroring between Joel's fight and the attack going on with Tommy was very well done. And it is probably like some of the best acting on display for the show.
Absolutely.
So it was probably the best episode of the season. But I remember we were talking about how they made the switch where it was Dina with Joel instead of Tommy, and I said, well, okay, Brandon, I know in the game it's Tommy with him, but hold on, I think I was like, hear me out, hear the show out, because obviously we know Ellie and Dina eventually come together as a couple, so her having a personal stake of her own into the revenge because she was there, I was like, give them a chance, maybe it's a change that can work. And for Dina's character, It does. For me. But for Tommy's character, I feel like they didn't, like, I was saying hold on, hear them out, because I thought we'd get more, and that more never came. And that, I think, is partly due to the fact that we don't get enough episodes. But while I think, and this goes to what you're saying, like, for one change that's good, it's another that's bad, I think it added to Dina's character, but it's sacrificed by taking from Tommy's.
I would have loved to see more Tommy and Joel together.
That's the thing. Dina, as much as she is for the most part, up until episode like 4 or 5, better than Game Dina. I didn't feel like she needed to be there. They really pulled back Tommy compared to how he is in the game, and I know exactly why they pulled those elements. It could work. I'm not going to say what it is because it leans into Abby's story. But it could work, but I don't see it working as well as it is. Because when I think of Tommy and Ellie, honestly, they're like revenge ninjas in Seattle. The amount of people that they kill, the things that they do, it's almost like unrecognizable between the game and the show. They feel like very different characters, particularly Ellie. Like I don't like Ellie this season at all. And it's not Bella Ramsey's fault because they're a fantastic actress. And I know that they were casted for this role because of how they did in Game of Thrones. That snap. But they weren't given enough leeway to really delve into that. Because it's kind of like a dance of a back and forth of, is Ellie psychotic? Or is she just grieving?
I think that's a great point. I also, what you said about Bella Ramsey, like, dude, The Last of Us might be one of the most toxic fan bases I've seen in a long time, besides like Star Wars.
If you think this is bad, you should have seen it when the game came out. Because the game leaked ahead of time. So all the fans knew that Joel was going to die. So it was so vitriolic. It was bad. Like, this is nothing compared to 2019.
Like, I just feel bad for Bella Ramsey. Like, people are just so mean to them, and like, I don't know. It's not their fault. If you are a hater of the character or the show or whatever, just like leave them alone though. Just to everybody listening. But speaking of characters, I did want to comment just quickly because first they, spoilers again, they kill my fucking goat Joel, and then they go ahead last episode they kill my fucking goat Jesse.
They fucked up Jesse. They fucked up Jesse.
Did they? I loved him.
It makes me so mad.
They fucking shot him in the neck.
Jesse in the game, he's so lovable and just like you want to be his best friend, and you get to see more of him in the show. But towards the end of the show, he feels so burdened by he's going to be the next Maria, which was never in the game. So I feel like that's an unnecessary weight they add to him. And also, in that finale, I honestly felt like I was being beaten over the head with a sign that said, "I'm just a good guy."
Yeah, that was like
I'm just a good guy. He doesn't say that at all in the game. He's just there for Ellie. They have a tight bond. It doesn't feel like they're forcing the bond in any way. He only gets mad at her when she decides to split up from him.
Yeah, I mean, Ellie literally has a line at the end of the season where she's like, "That's because you're a good guy, Jesse." And
Yeah.
he goes, "Yeah." And that's it.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
Like the writing for just that.
That was basically
scenario,
like the last interaction between them two, because then immediately
Exactly.
it's
before he gets
fucking
his head blown off.
Exactly.
head blown off. I didn't mind that
It's so
he was
much more meaningful in the game.
I don't mind that he's more cynical in his approach. If again we see the reverse side where Tommy's more supportive of the revenge, like I think that could have made for a cool contrast where it's like you have these two characters who are trying to save Ellie and Dina, and one is kind of into what's going on and has like his own personal stake and kind of, I don't want to say down for it, but yeah, and then you have one who's more cynical about it and more cautious and realistic about his circumstances. I think it would have worked if you didn't have the vacuum of Tommy's character, just because it just felt like adding on. You didn't have like the two different sides of that coin to play off of. I just wanted to say, I wanted to backtrack to Bella Ramsey for a second and their casting in this role. I think it worked for season 1 because of their youthful look and play into it. In The Last of Us Part 1, Ellie is younger. You know what I mean? And naive and unaware. And in season 2, Ellie is older. And so but they didn't wait. You know what I mean? Like Bella Ramsey, I don't know how old they are, but like, you know, it's supposed to be 5 years later and there's this level of maturity.
They're 21. I just looked it up.
I thought they were 21.
21.
All right, I just feel like they could have, like, I get that actors always play down sometimes, but they could have gone for, like, waited a little longer or gone for someone a little younger to be able to really, like, play that age gap, because it hasn't even been 5 years since they did season 1.
Have either of you watched House of the Dragon?
Yeah.
Season 1, the time jump, it's 2 different actresses. I don't know why they couldn't have done it for Last of Us.
Yeah, and it's like they don't even really look too similar. They just have the same hair color in that time jump.
And there was one shot, I don't remember the shot. I think it was in the finale when they were in the theater. Bella Ramsey genuinely looked very much like Ellie for a second, and I think they put like makeup on them to make them look like that.
Oh, really?
It was really weird because I was like, why does Bella look so much like Ellie right now? Could have been the lighting, but it felt like it was intentional.
People said that the girl who plays Abby looks more like
Yes, she was supposed to be Ellie in a movie. Initially, it was going to be a movie, and it kind of got pushed so far, and then it became a show.
It's like an alternate universe where Abby is Ellie.
Yeah.
Damn.
How'd you guys feel about Joel's death? How it was handled?
The thing is, I've seen it. I've seen the clip of it before the show came out, before season 2 came out. So I knew how it was supposed to go in the game. I really wish Tommy was there. I wish he was able to experience that sort of trauma, because I think that would really add to his character.
Yeah.
But I thought that in the show it was fine. I thought that the acting was fucking phenomenal from Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal. I thought that was really good. Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't what I really expected, but it was fine.
They definitely toned back on the visceralness of the whole thing, and just like the gore. And again, it goes into that point you made before, Brandon, about like HBO or Druckmann or whoever toning it down out of like a, you know, again, to then my point of like this reactionary criticisms and whatnot. And I don't know, it just, it felt like they were trying to play it safe because they knew the emotional weight that is Joel's death. And it hits no matter what. Like, even still, it hit. I do think, though, that for a guy who, all intents and purposes, is the main character to this point of the show, they don't give it the space that it really should get. And I don't know if that's done differently in the game.
Hey, guys. Sorry to interrupt whatever we were just talking about. It's Jack. We're not sure what happened, but we lost the audio and video for the last 15 minutes of this episode. Obviously it's not ideal, but I just want to thank you all for tuning in this week. You know, Josh and I, and especially Brandon, who is our wonderful guest this week. We want to thank you all for listening. Big special thanks and shout out to him for taking his time to join us. Please be sure to check us out on all social media at Box Office Dynasty. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and a bunch of other shit that we're on that we don't even know about. Give a like, comment, share with your friends and fellow film lovers. We hope next week there's no unforeseen issues, and we'll definitely have a seesaw, which is our usual segment, but we don't have it this week. We'll hopefully have it back next week, which in a way is the biggest tragedy of all of this. Until next week, thank you all for being patient with us and for listening. We love you. Goodbye.